Here's a lovely conversation from a lady called Lyle Pugh, who describes her recovery that passes through different phases. There's a period of her life that she had lots of fear, there's a period of her life she had lots of frustration, and then she entered this period of recovery that's given her lots of freedom. If you're interested in her story, then watch the video.
Right, thanks very much for connecting, Lyle. And I feel that something I've learned is if you can help other people, it helps you somehow. And you've been very kind enough to share where you're at with this persistent pain pattern that lots of people have experienced. And it's good of you to say where you're at, wherever that is, because there will be people ahead of you, behind you. It's not a race, but wherever you're at, it is a worthy perspective to take. So
Yeah.
tell me about you.
So I guess in terms of the pains, they started in my late teens, and I'm now nearly 50, so it's been a while. And it's kind of been a constant battle, path of discovery, I guess, to try and figure out the root cause of the pains. I was told quite early on that I had arthritis, which kind of scared the life out of me because I thought, oh God, all my joints and bones are going to be worn out by the time I'm older. So it kind of terrified me, stopped me from kind of moving around and doing anything. So I then became quite overweight, quite inactive, and all of those pains got worse. And I then continued out the other side of that into then becoming more active, more mobile. I'm now a personal trainer. So I kind of tried to educate myself into sort of more health, more fitness, and try and kind of fix the pains that way, if you like. Learned a little bit about how nutrition can obviously lead into inflammation and stuff like that. And I guess I've got to a point where I've improved my health quite a bit. I've reduced the pains quite considerably, but they're still there. And that kind of bugged me because I thought that the health and fitness was going to be the answer. And yet they're still there. And then obviously then I've sort of come across your stuff, talking about how kind of trauma plays into it. And that was a bit of a light bulb moment for me because there's quite a bit of trauma in my past. So I'm now interested to see whether that's the last piece of the puzzle, I guess.
Oh, that is really interesting. Isn't it powerful, those words a long time ago? Oh, mind, you've got arthritis, you're going to get arthritis, you don't move, don't this. In the child of a young, in the brain of anybody, but of a young adult.
Yeah.
Who
Yeah, I
told
mean,
you that?
I had visions that I was going to be in a wheelchair by the time I was 40 because my pains were so bad. And I thought, well, if they get any worse than this, I was already kind of occasionally, borrowing other people's walking sticks and things like this and using crutches and different stuff like that. So I thought, God, if this gets worse, where am I going to end up? So yeah, it's quite bad.
Who told you that originally?
A GP.
Mm.
Yeah.
And what did you present with a range of pains or particular joint or?
I think actually it started with some pains in my big toes. And I think they kind of ruled out gout and other things like that. And they said, it'll just be arthritis. I was like, oh. And then I think it was a year or a couple of years after that I started to get pains in my knees. And again, that was then, that'll be arthritis. So, oh my God, I've got it in my toes now. I've got it in my knees. And then those pains they went everywhere. So, in the end, I had pains in feet, ankles, knees, hips, shoulders, elbows, wrists, all the major
Heads and
joints, really.
shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes.
Yeah.
The way it's envisioned by lots of people who experience that is like it's an infective disease almost, isn't it? rather than a single arthropathy or single joint that's had a bit of damage, or maybe some changes over time with aging. It's almost like it's spreading through me, and the pain in each joint is another piece of this really dangerous thing that I can't do anything about.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
And I think
incredible how much.
I had a little bit of a kind of light bulb moment, because the knees were kind of the crux of the problem. So although I had these other aches and pains, and the knees were, I guess, because you're trying to stand on them and walk on them, so they become the biggest problem. And I did eventually. I had operations, exploratory cameras put into my knees. They put them into one knee and lost the results, which then resulted in lots of sort of physiotherapy and stuff like that, where they just tried to guess at what the problem might be. I then had the cameras put into the other knee, and they came back and said there's no signs of wear or tear there. It's just what you would expect for your age. There's nothing abnormal there. And I guess that could have gone two routes. I could have gone, well, it's got to be something. But I kind of took the notion that, well, my fear was that the knees were wearing away, that, you know, they were going to not last my lifetime. And to be told that actually there wasn't any wear there, I took the kind of mindset of, right, so then maybe if I exercise, I can make them stronger. Nothing's wearing away. So, you know, that kind of gave me a bit of a green light to start moving them.
Yeah, it's a little bit like the Wizard of Oz, isn't it? Behind the curtain, this big illusion of it's a very unpleasant illusion, but kind of pulls the curtain back, and there's actually an old man there giving you wrong messages.
Yeah.
So the very fear-based starting point, I suppose, transitioned into, hang on a sec, I can crack on here, and then it's maybe moved into frustration-based approach.
Yeah.
I know I'm okay, so I can do this, and nutrition and fitness and training and health, and go and go and go. And inevitably, when you are looking after your body, it gets conditioned, it gets more tolerant of circumstances and movements and places and stuff. But when there's something else, even all that training doesn't quite hit it, does it?
Yeah, exactly.
So I suppose now a lot of the markers of your pain are reduced, or maybe pain-free sometimes. What do you notice triggers that aren't just physical then?
Yeah, I'm starting to become a little bit more aware of that. Obviously, again, through your stuff and other people's, and learning that association between trauma events and stuff like that, mind, whatever. So I have started to become a little bit more aware of that. What I've actually got now, which is double annoying, because having that awareness it makes it even more annoying. So what happened about, where are we, 12, about 16 months ago, I guess, I had quite a bad kidney infection, and ended up in hospital, come quite out of the blue. And because I'm healthier now and I'm looking after myself, it was, you know, a bit of a setback for me in that respect. And what I've noticed now is that when I'm stressed and things are getting a bit much, I get a pain in the kidneys. And I know, because of all of the things that I know that that's the site that it's choosing, because that's the one that's going to resonate with me. And so my conscious self knows that there's nothing wrong with my kidney. And I've even had further tests and everything to rule out anything with the kidneys. So I know there's nothing wrong with them. And yet I can, when things get a bit much, I get that pain right there. So
yeah.
And so it's as I know you've said it a lot, knowing what it is and isn't,
yeah, it
still isn't helping, kind of thing.
Well, awareness or self-awareness, which you're patently very self-aware, and from what you describe, you're very determined. So this determined and self-awareness side by side is a good combination. However, it lacks something. that you might be open to, because you don't lack self-awareness.
Yeah.
You could probably write a book easy. Now you know it, you could write a book easy, and you'll see it in your clients and stuff like that. You can't unsee it. So you're self-aware, but you're very determined with that self-awareness to do something about it. Because it's an unpleasant sensation, you still have a default. And you default in the presence of a challenging situation, physically, emotionally, psychologically, painful, unpleasant, whatever you describe it as, your default is to be determined to push through it.
Yeah.
You're in it, solve it, work it out, push through it. Used to be fear occasionally, but now you actually take it on head on. Now, what happens with that determination is you lose self-awareness. This one disappears. So the people who really recover find self-awareness, determination that they can regulate, not let the dog off the leash. They've got to regulate it, but it's paired together with such a sense of warmth and kindness to that organism that's innately determined and probably conditioned to be pushed a bit harder, and now consciously very self-aware. You have to maintain that sense of warm kindness whilst you move through these moments that you may fall off your bike, you may get mad with the mother-in-law, you may feel triggered at things that aren't challenging, or the father-in-law, for those that don't like the same mother-in-law by default. Must just be a conditioned response from me. So these things that aren't overwhelming, but they have the moments. And then that means that you'll notice your reaction physically, emotionally, they're tied in, whatever's physical will be emotional, whatever's emotionally physical. But then you're like, right, that's okay. Your perception of that will be seen as the sense of threat or sense of safety in that moment by your own nervous system. So every time it happens and you view it, that's an opportunity. It doesn't matter if 10 times in the day you miss it. The last time you don't use the word double annoyed, you're not just annoyed, you're double annoyed. It's like, I've just used double annoyed. Why would I double my annoyance for just another signal? I'll just be annoyed next time, not double. And maybe I'll just be okay with it.
Yeah.
That's being kind. If that was a child saying, I'm doubly annoyed, and you say, yeah, keep that double annoyance every time you get that station, keep that double annoyance. You'd be like, oh, give yourself some time. You'd set kindness, care, compassion, boundary setting, all that. You'd have that in bucket loads. I'm sure you like that with your clients, or if you're personal trainer. You don't say that I'm doubly annoyed with you for not lifting 10K more than you did last week. I am doubly annoyed with you. So that voice that you use with others that's authentic, and just have to spin it 180 occasionally, because even doing that feels weird or can feel weird. Why? Well, our nervous system has been taught to shut down how we feel as soon as our sensations are on us, shut them down at a cellular level to survive the environment in which we best attend to somebody else's needs outside of our internal state, just to survive it. Now, you might be aware of where that comes from. It doesn't matter. You might benefit from chatting to someone about that if that suits someone. That's absolutely a valid thing to do. But it isn't something to go searching to unpick it. It's saying, I could understand why that would happen in somebody who was probably needs weren't met on that day or for that month or perhaps for a period of time, or that became normal. But if there is no actual threat when I notice these sensations now, it's simply a memory with a prediction and bringing it to life in the present moment, then I can do something calming in that moment. And that's the bit that you might find helpful.
Yeah.
Can you be warm with people?
It's not my default.
Can you be warm to a client?
Yeah.
Can you be kind to a client?
Yeah.
Then you offer them some grace if they haven't done what you told them the last week or two, and they
Yeah,
fell off the wagon. They had a couple of donuts more than they should have.
yeah,
Yeah, you have that skill set.
yeah,
So, and there's loads of other things like that that you've got to have listed. So you don't have to list them all. You just think, could I? What would it look like if I was a little less critical?
yeah,
Rather than the search and intent that those traits are dead good for you and me because we're problem solvers. Client comes to you, I want to lose 3 stone or gain fitness or whatever, and you'll just go bang, 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 bang. I might go,
yeah,
someone said I got pain here, and I go, okay, well, look at this. If we do it with so much intensity, we scare them off.
mm,
Scare them off. Might be the right information, but the wrong
yeah,
person saying it.
yeah,
And you've lost clients like that. I've lost clients like that.
yeah,
And sometimes you thought, oh, there's some clients I'd rather not have, and they love you
yeah,
because you're just using the right voice for
yeah,
them. And that's interesting what you said there. You don't need to know more. You don't need to know more. You might think you do, but I bet you don't.
yeah,
Probably just need to be more patient with yourself.
yeah, yeah. My default is to attack problems. So I'm very much going, oh, got to get at it, got to get it. Yeah, so it's quite a sort of aggressive and confronting kind of approach to
Yeah.
dealing with problems. And
Yeah.
that's something I'm trying to change to just, like you said, just kind of just relax
Well,
and
it's
just
the
go,
attack dog that you might need the attack dog.
mm,
You might need that if you're in an emergency situation. You need that skill set. Then others around you might not have it. So celebrate that. It's
yeah,
not bad. It's a strength. But if we live in what's it called, a dualistic universe, there's got to be an opposite to it, which is a weakness or a vulnerability.
yeah,
And exploring that's quite interesting. Exploring that's interesting without criticizing it because you might use softer tones for certain moments and you might need the guard dog and the atty that's has its place and it might save your life one day and it might have saved it already. So it just needs kind of regulating in a way that growing this skill set that's the opposite polar mechanism. And that's really interesting when you view it through that calm, determined mechanism because you have got good at lots of different things, loads of different things and you can get good at this. You are getting good at this.
yeah.
You are good at this. What was your tipping point, do you think? Obviously, you did the fear stuff for a few years, did the frustration stuff. What did you come across? What did you notice? Out there by accident, by serendipity?
I think, yeah, I get, like I say, it was that moment where they said nothing was wearing away was definitely a point, and my GPs and stuff like that, and physiotherapists and stuff had all kind of said, "Oh, don't do squats, don't do lunges, don't do anything like that. You know, don't run, don't nothing like that. Just maybe a bit of gentle swimming. You know, don't do anything more than that." And I guess I started to hear things that sort of contradicting about whether or not squats and lunges were bad for you, or whether they might actually be good for you, whether running was really bad for the knees or whether it might actually be good for the knees. And I guess it was the beginnings of the internet, really. So it was that chance that you could actually just go on the computer and Google and say, well, is it or isn't it? And that information was straight there in your face. You didn't have to go down the library and try and get a book out about it. And I guess that was the tipping point. It was just having that information to say that actually, yeah, you know, doing this stuff might actually strengthen the knees up. And if you can strengthen them, then they might not hurt as much.
And
And that kind of thing.
how about the end of that then, when you've exercised and trained and got fit and you eat the right things and your body's in a good shape, objectively and subjectively you're feeling better, but there's something behind that. What was the thing that then you thought, well, what else could be involved? This kind of mind body or TMS, what people say, there's lots of
Yeah.
different names for it, but where did that happen?
I think lockdown, probably. I ended up taking a job doing some courier and delivery work. And the sort of serendipitous upshot of that was that I managed to spend much of my day, 6-7 hours, listening to podcasts and things like that, which is probably where I came across you. So I was listening to all sort of health, fitness, different things about that on podcasts. And yeah, I guess that's probably where I first come across the sort of alternative explanations for pain, I guess. I also started doing a biomechanics course, which kind of briefly touched on the sort of alternative explanations as well. So, yeah.
And have you done it all on your own?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's a good. It's interesting because people who might watch this, they say, "Oh, should I see someone? Should I talk about something? Should I see this?" You don't have to see anyone, do you?
No.
You can. People can help off physios or counselors or psychotherapists or doctors or nurses or anybody who understands the concepts in a sensible way. But it's quite a simple process that we make complicated, don't we?
Yeah. Like you say, I think I'm quite self-aware anyway, so that obviously helps and can be quite objective.
Yeah, you're certainly not scared anymore.
No.
And that's good because it means that I suggest to people sometimes that sometimes they chase the emotion. What is the emotion attached to the pain? And they can look for all sorts of things. And it's very simple. If the fear doing things, that's fear. And if they smash through it, it's generally frustration. There might be lots of other nuance. It's all based in fear of some sort of another. But that means that by definition, that a particular pain might be attached to fear or frustration. So if you had another situation in life that was frustrating, surprise, surprise, which pain comes back? This one.
Yeah.
Now, if that fear, pain and frustration appear on a cold day, the cold gets involved. Because people aren't consciously aware of this emotional link, they'll attach the fear to the cold.
Yeah.
Then the back pain comes on when they're cold, and it does. It's just not cause and effect.
Yeah.
With movement or bending, and then they'll wince or they'll hold their breath and they'll tense up and they'll get mad, and they're simply refueling the link. And when you can see it, yes, the physical cues are relevant and you attend to them, but you see the emotional cues and the surges that come with that, then that's really interesting because it's like, all right, my reactions are the threat to my nervous system. My reactions. If there's something objectively happening in life, like divorce or grief, or the dog's at your homework, or your kids are being expelled, or, objective stress is fine. It means that it's likely that you're going to be challenged, not just with the emotion, but the pains that are defaulting to that around those times, or if you're thinking about them. But if it's objectively, life's pretty good, people will say, oh, my life's great now. Smashing. It's deal with the pain then and your reactions to it. And that's where behavior change, which is the process of recovery, really, it's kind of mad to think it's behavior change.
Yeah. And I think I've tried to do quite a bit of work in desensitizing through language as well. So I try and avoid the word pain if possible. And at worst, I might say it's an uncomfortable sensation or something like that. I try to kind of defer it into tingling or warmth or something like that to help kind of desensitize, get away from the aggressiveness, I suppose, of the word pain.
Yeah. So are you happy to stop using doubly annoyed?
Yeah, I'll try. I'll add that to the list.
I'm teasing you. It's interesting though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Doubly annoyed.
Yeah. I'm glad you picked up on that because I hadn't noticed that one. So I'll be aware of that one now.
So if you notice the pain language dead easy, look at the emotion language. How do I describe emotions that I might have? How do other people describe emotions? Because they'll say I haven't just got a bad back, I've got a really, really bad back.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, it's stabbing, burning, shooting. They kind of bring it all to life unconsciously. This isn't this. Listen, I've used that language. We've all used it. It's just instinctual language, amplified by conditioning. And when you see it, you're like, okay, if you catch the behavior, first of all, that's good. You notice it. If you replay it, that's okay. If you change the behavior that comes after catching it, you'll change the habit. It
yeah,
comes afterwards. It's the coming down from it, knowing, well, that's okay. I said doubly annoyed. No problem. That's all right. Next time I sense that sensation, it tends to come with the hand on the back and I'm doubly annoyed. I'll just, I'll have a few deep breaths. I'll shrug my shoulders and say, that's okay. You're wiring a new neural circuit in that moment. You've already wired it, by the way. You've already done it. It's already happened. Notice the pain in your kidney. It's not there at the moment, is it?
a little bit.
Right, good. Notice it.
Yeah,
Yeah, be okay with it. How do you feel about it?
yeah. It doesn't bother me because I know it's nothing. But
You're okay with it being there. You're allowing it there.
yeah,
You're not doubly annoyed about it, are you?
a little bit.
You can kid me, you can't kid yourself. It's something to practice on.
Yeah, yeah.
Something to practice on anyway. It's lovely talking to you.
Yeah.
I know that when you sent me the email message, said, "Drew, I'll chat." I'm halfway there. I understand what you're saying. I do.
Yeah.
I do. But it's really honest of you to be transparent, to show yourself and say, "Look, this is where I'm at. No, this is where I'm at too. I'm at, you're at. Whoever is interested in this, the perfection. We're already perfect. We're already perfect. Chasing it in some other concept doesn't really exist. It's
Yeah.
knowing that some of the things we feel are real and need attending to, but some of the things we feel are real that don't need our reactions to anymore. You
Yeah.
almost have to feel them to heal them. It's a bit twee to say that, but you just allow them to be, not let them overwhelm us. Check that there isn't any actual danger in the room that we're both in. Check there's no impending danger. Get something checked that you're not so sure about, like you've had done till the cows come home. But
Yeah.
thereafter, just get curious about what else might be involved that could be playing a part that we might have missed.
Yeah.
Great stuff, Lyle. Great stuff. Thank you very much for all your time.
Thank you.
Can I ask you if you were giving I don't know, an inspirational message to your clients, anybody who's just come across this video, yours is the first video they've ever come across, what would you say to them? What would you say to them that it might be helpful?
I think just don't get hung up on trying to find a diagnosis for your pain, because chances are the diagnosis isn't going to help you anyway. And just like you say, explore other ways to maybe find a solution beyond getting a name for what it is and getting medications or whatever. Look at self-healing and see what you can do with the mind, because the mind is I think a stronger tool than any drugs anyway. And you keep yourself healthy.
Yeah, great stuff. Thanks very much, Lyle. I hope you stay in touch, and I'm very appreciative of you spending your time with me. I'm going to just